I'm Elizabeth at A Literary Princess. If you are new here, welcome. I have a PhD in English literature with a focus on Victorian women novelists, and as you might expect, I love to read. Today I have my March to May book haul for you, and I've got some great stuff. Have I bought too many books? Probably, but you know, life is short. Buy books when you can. And also my husband told me I can buy as many books as I want. That is a quote, a direct quote. Was he a little bit drunk? Yes. But I'm taking advantage of that, so. All right, we've got a lot to get through. Let's jump in. So these first two books are Edinburgh critical editions of 19th century texts, and my mom actually got these for me. She had a coupon, and so was like, I want to buy you a little present because I have a coupon. I was like, okay. So we've got Thaddeus of Warsaw by Jane Porter. Jane Porter is a Regency novelist, and I read a biography of her and her sister, Anna Maria Porter, a few years ago, Sister Novelists by Devani Lucer, and it was amazing. So I have wanted to read some of her work since. Thaddeus of Warsaw is a historical novel from 1803. Polish refugee in London facing prejudice, but ends up in a circle of women who either aid or woo him. Also solving a mystery of his birth and confronting a British father who abandoned him. It was very interesting. So, and set 200 years prior, so in the 1600s, I guess. So I'm really interested to read something by her, and I'm so excited to have like a nice edition and not like, you know, an obnoxious one on my computer that might not have all the pages or whatever. So this is great. And then I've got A Romance of Two Worlds by Marie Corelli, who is a late Victorian writer. I was actually going to read this, I guess it would have been in March, which is when I got this. But A Romance of Two Worlds was that month's read for the neglected Victorian bestsellers read along hosted by Roy from Roy Reads Anything. I did not end up being able to get to it, but I have this here now for when I want to pick it up, because I do want to pick it up. This is Corelli's first novel. I've read one other book by her, Thelma, which was really good, and I'm excited to read more. And I know that this is kind of a strange one, but Thelma was kind of strange too, to be fair. Not as strange as I think this is gonna be, because this is like very out there. But Thelma was still strange, so really looking forward to more from Corelli. Next up is one from Victoria's Archives that I needed for my Elizabeth Gaskell project. This is A Dark Night's Work by Elizabeth Gaskell. This is going to be, I believe, the August book for the project. And I did not have a copy yet. I knew that Victoria's Archives was going to be coming out with one, so I held off on trying to find a used copy. And then, you know, it came out. I've been doing this thing where every time my husband buys a coin, I buy a book. So he bought a coin, so I bought a book. He's a coin collector, if you don't know. I think I've mentioned that before. He's into coins and then also Magic the Gathering. So he was buying coins, I decided I could buy books, and I got this. It's a very lovely edition. I'm pretty excited about this because I know nothing about it. We have Eleanor Wilkins growing up in an atmosphere shaped by her father's ambition, charm, and increasing desire for social distinction. Wow, I see that ending badly. So this will be coming up in August. The next 3 are from thrift books, and they are actually for my project for next year. So I guess we'll go through these 3 and then I'll kind of announce the project. I have mentioned it in my Mammoths Read and To Read Revisited video, where I talked about War and Peace and mentioned I would be reading it next year for my project, but I did not announce what the project is. So as I'm going through these, you can try to guess what the project is, and then I'll announce it. And did I buy these because my husband once again bought coins? Yes, I did. Am I bad? Probably. So first up, we have A Double Life by Karolina Pavlova, translated by Barbara Helt. H-E-L-D-T. Yeah, I don't know what really this is about. Oh, it alternates between prose and poetry. That's different. To offer a wry picture of a Russian aristocratic society and vivid dreams of escaping its strictures. It sounds like my kind of thing. And yeah, worked perfectly for this project. So we'll go on to the next one. We then have City Folk and Country Folk by Sophia, oh boy, Kavoshkinskaya? Translated by, oh god, Seligman Favorov. Oh, by Nora Seligman Favorov. I'm gonna have to learn how to say this name. And what is this about? Satire of Russia's aristocratic and pseudo-intellectual elites in the 1860s. Oh, she wrote it under a male pseudonym. And this is the first time it's translated into English. Huh. All right, so very excited for that one. Can you see where the project is going, perhaps? And then we've got Lady Macbeth of Mtsensk. I'm gonna have to learn to pronounce all this stuff. Selected stories of Nikolai Leskov, with an introduction by Donald Rayfield. And did he also translate these? Aww. No, there's several different translators. We've got Robert Chandler, William Egerton, Donald Rayfield. Okay. Wait, did I just say Donald? No, I didn't. Oh, Donald Rayfield is, okay, he did translate some of them. Anyway, so this is Russian short stories. I'm particularly interested in the title story, Lady Macbeth of that. If anybody wants to tell me how to pronounce these things in the comments, please do. Yeah, so that's a tale of illicit love and multiple murders that could easily find their way into a Scottish ballad, and did go on to become one of the most popular of Dmitri Shostakovich's operas. So, if you haven't figured it out by now, my project for next year is 19th century Russian fiction. I am calling it the Russian Literature Project, but I am just doing 19th century, and it is all fiction. Not all novels. We've got some plays and some novels in verse. Or I should say one play and one novel in verse. And then short stories and novels. But yeah, I am very excited because, as I said, I have not read a lot of Russian literature. I've read Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. Anna Karenina, and The Death of Ivan Ilyich by Leo Tolstoy. And that's it. Well, I guess, and Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, which is 20th century and kind of both Russian and American. But I really want to dive more into Russian literature, and I figured the 19th century is the best place for me to start because that is my time period. It's a different country than what I work with usually, but it is still my time period. And it is the part of Russian literature I am more familiar with. So, super excited for this. Stay tuned for more book hauls to see the rest of the Russian Literature Project books, because I do have to buy all of the rest of them except for War and Peace. These next two are from the Harvard Bookstore in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So I had to go in to do some research at Harvard's Houghton, I don't actually know how it's pronounced, library for my conference paper, and I made a little day trip of it, took the train down, did my research, went to the bookstore, got some lunch at a cafe, sat on the lawn and read. It was lovely. So yeah, I bought 2 books there because naturally. And the first is Loving Sylvia Plath, A Reclamation by Emily Van Duyn. I read this last year, had gotten it out of the library and loved it and knew I wanted my own copy, and then they had it. They actually had a few Sylvia Plath books. I only bought 2 of them because I have some restraint, kind of. So this is looking at kind of the afterlife of Plath, the cultural fascination surrounding her, and kind of re-looking at those last years of her life and how her legacy has been constructed. This was so good. I'm so excited to reread it. And I am going to be rereading it soon as I am finished with this other book that I bought at Harvard Bookstore, which I am currently reading. And that is The Silent Woman, Sylvia Plath and Ted Hughes by Janet Malcolm. I talked about this in my currently reading video that I just filmed and that will have gone up a few days ago. Very similar to Van Duyn's work, this is looking at kind of the afterlife of Plath and how that image of her is constructed. But this was written in the 90s, whereas Van Duyn's book came out in 2023? 4? 2024. So we've got, oh God, 30 years between those two. So some new stuff has come to light. So I'm reading this one first and then rereading Loving Sylvia Plath because I know that she references Malcolm a lot. So I'm really excited for both of these. And I'm already like 40 pages in. And it's not that long of a book, but I am waiting on finishing another nonfiction, which if you ever watched my most recent currently reading video, you will know. But yeah, I was so excited to find these. I wanted to buy the other 2 books that I saw about her, but like I said, I do have some restraint, not a lot, but some, and also I had to carry everything around with me all day, so I would have had to carry them, and the other 2 were like that. And I didn't want to do that. These were small. So the next, quite a lot, were bought during my recent trip to Alabama and Georgia for a conference. The conference was in Auburn, Alabama. My friend Michaela, who's also my co-editor with our book, which you can find stuff about down in the description box. She lives in Georgia, not far from Atlanta. Atlanta is also the closest airport to Auburn. So she picked me up, we went to the conference together, and then I also got to spend some time at her place in Georgia. And so naturally we went book shopping in both places. So this first book is from one of the bookstores in Auburn. I unfortunately cannot remember the name right now. But this is Carmilla by J. Sheridan Le Fanu. This is a vampire novel from mid-Victorian? Mid-Victorian? Hello? Yeah, mid-1871. That's mid. This is a beautiful edition from Pushkin Press that I have seen like a lot of people have, and it was perfect. I've been wanting to read Carmilla because it is a predecessor to Dracula and, you know, pretty much all other vampire fiction since then. And it's kind of crazy that I haven't read it because it's not that long. So I was super excited to find this, and yeah, picked it up as a little souvenir from the conference. And then the rest are from the bookstore I went to in Georgia, which was a used bookstore and had the most amazing selection of Victorian literature. So all but 2 of these are Victorian, and the one that's not technically Victorian, it's 1820s and 1830s. And then the other one is early or late 18th century American. But I was in my element. Actually, we both were, because we both do, she does 18th and 19th century British literature, and I do 19th, obviously. So we were just having a great time. So first up, we've got Selected Writings by Letitia Elizabeth Langdon with this beautiful Broadview edition. I'm not like a huge poetry person, although this isn't all poetry. There is some prose in here. But Langdon is somebody that I've heard quite a lot about, but never actually really read. And I mean, this Broadview edition, I couldn't leave behind. Like, it's gorgeous. So, yeah, got this. For more poetry, we have Victorian Verse from Penguin Classics, edited by a guy, George Macbeth. I actually had to have Michaela's fiance come because this was way up on a tall shelf and he's like over 6 foot. And I was like, Kyle, I need your tallness because I couldn't quite see. I thought it said Victorian something, but I couldn't quite see because it was so far away. I'm not very tall. I'm only 5'3". And I also lost my glasses while I was at the conference. So I'm going with no distance glasses. So I really couldn't see much of anything, which is great. But yeah, so Kyle came and got it down for me and I was like, yes, it is Victorian. I'm buying that. So we've got a lot of different poets in here, some of whom I've read and some of whom I have not. Thomas Babington, Lord Macaulay, William Barnes, James Clarence Mangan, George Outram, I don't know any of those people, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, yay, someone I know, Charles Tennyson Turner, don't know him, Edward Fitzgerald, I've heard that name, Alfred Lord Tennyson, yeah, I know him. William Makepeace Thackeray, oh, I didn't know he did poetry. Robert Browning, of course. Edward Lear, William Bell Scott, Thomas Westwood, Charles Kingsley, Arthur Hugh Clow, Ebenezer Jones, that's a name, Frederick Locker Lampson, Matthew Arnold, Coventry Patmore, Angel in the House, Sidney Dobell, Walter C. Smith, George Meredith, I know you, Dante Gabriel Rossetti, Walter Thornbury, Alexander Smith, Sebastian Evans, Christina Rossetti, T.E. Brown, Lewis Carroll. Holy crap, there's a lot of people in here. Okay, maybe we don't go through all of these. Well, I've already started. Adam Lindsay Gordon, Richard Watson Dixon, William Morris, James Thompson, Lord de Talby, Tabley, Alfred Austin, Sir Alfred Lyle, Ellis Hopkins, Augusta Webster, Algernon Charles Swinburne, Austin Dobson, Thomas Hardy, Gerard Manley Hopkins, Eugene Lee Hamilton, Michael Field, Alice. Hey, Michael Field, that's a woman writer. It's like a duo. I talk about them in my underrated women writers that I want to read video. I think. Maybe it wasn't that video. I definitely talked about them last Victober at some point. Alice Maynell, William Henley, Robert Louis Stevenson, didn't know he did poetry, Oscar Wilde, Agnes Mary Robinson, John Davidson, Francis Thompson, Alfred Edward Houseman, Sir Henry Newbolt, Rudyard Kipling, William Butler Yeats. I didn't realize that he was considered Victorian as well as a modernist. Okay. Arthur Symonds, John Gray, Ernest Olson, Lionel Johnson, Lord Alfred Douglas, J.M. Synge, and Aubrey Beardsley. Whew. That was so many. Oh my god. Okay, moving on. And then, of course, I've got plenty of novels. First up is The Eustace Diamonds by Anthony Trollope. We're going in reverse alphabetical order, by the way. Why? I don't know. That's just how it worked out size-wise for the Victorian novels. Yeah, so this is the third book in the Palliser series. I have not started that series. I do have the first one, Can You Forgive Her, which does not match this edition. It's a Penguin, not an Oxford, but you know what? I wasn't leaving this behind. This is also the Palliser novel I'm most excited for, because the main character, Lizzie Eustace, really sounds like a kind of Becky Sharp type, and I love Becky Sharp, so. We then have two books by Thackeray, the first of which is The Newcomes. Newcomes? I don't really know. I've never heard of this book. I feel like the only two Thackeray books that ever get talked about are Vanity Fair and Pendennis. And then I find out that he's written a ton of others, and I'm like, who knew? Not me. So I'm really excited to try this one out. Oh, union of a guy and girl in love thwarted by human weakness. It seems like it should be fun. And the other Thackeray book is Barry Lyndon, which is actually on my list of a book for each Victorian year. This came out in 1844, and I have not read a Victorian novel from a Victorian book, period, any book, from 1844. So, this is a really weird cover. I don't really know what to do with that, but okay. We then have Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson. The only Stevenson I have read is Jekyll and Hyde, and I feel like that should be remedied. I have a copy of Treasure Island that I really need to read, and I feel like Kidnapped is his other really well-known one. So I saw this in this nice Oxford and was like, I should get this. Sybil by Benjamin Disraeli. This is a Condition of England novel from the 40s that I have wanted to read but just never come across a copy of. So I was very excited to find a nice Oxford World's Classics. Our boy Dickens with The Old Curiosity Shop. I had a lovely Penguin Classics. They had quite a lot of Dickens. This was the only one that I had not read yet. And I actually had multiple copies, but I wanted this copy because this is my preferred style of Penguin Classics. This one that I was absolutely thrilled to find. This is Tales of Glasstown, Angria, and Gondel, Selected Writings by the Brontes. I was over the moon to find this because I love the Brontes, and it's kind of one of the few things by them that I don't have yet. And yeah, thrilled. Very, very happy. And then, oh, I was so excited to see this one too. I have actually read this one, which is not the case for all those others. But to have a physical copy of this and to find it in a store and not have to like go on thrift books or something. This is Aurora Floyd by Mary Elizabeth Braddon in this fairly old World's Classics edition. I'm so happy to have a physical copy of this. Like, I said to the guy at checkout, I was like, you have an impeccable selection of Victorian literature. And he actually, as he was checking me out, he's looking at these, he's like, I'm gonna guess you're a professor of Victorian literature. I was like, well, not a professor yet, because I don't have a job, but I am a doctor of Victorian literature. I get the feeling that he sees a lot of professors because there is a university in the city where my friend lives. So yeah, so happy to find Aurora Floyd. And the last book that I got from there is actually a late 18th century American novel. This is Charlotte Temple, along with its sequel Lucy Temple by Susanna Rosen. I have wanted to read this because a friend from my program hates it. And that probably sounds odd to say that I want to read it because somebody hates it. But I was intrigued. I'm like, I want to know why you hate it so much. Given I do know why she hates it, she has explained. But I wanted to read it for myself. Especially because then it was on the list for the general exams that cohort had to read. And I was like, okay, now it's come up on your exam list. Like, now I need to read it. And it was apparently the biggest bestseller in American literary history until Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin. So, it sounds like it's a kind of fallen woman novel. And then the sequel, Lucy Temple, is talking about her daughter. So, I don't know. It was inexpensive and it's short, and I really should read more American literature. So, there we go. And then we've got one book left that I got from Victoria's Archives again. And I am also currently reading this one, so you will maybe have seen it in my currently reading. This is A Life for a Life by Dinah Mullet Craik. I bought this because I found out about a conference that is coming up in September, and the theme is Matters of Life and Death, and the title is perfect. And I'm reading it right now, and it is perfect. There is definitely a good conference paper in here. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. This is my third Craik book. Fourth Craik book. I've read 3. I read Olive, I read Mistress and Maid, and I read Bread Upon the Waters. Would not recommend Bread Upon the Waters. Olive and Mistress and Maid, definitely go for. And I can already tell that this is going to be one like those, that I'm really gonna love this because it's just so good so far. So that is my March to May book haul. Let me know down in the comments. Have you read any of these? What did you think of them? Do you know how to pronounce any of those Russian names that I was struggling with? Please, please tell me, I beg of you. Also, what books have you bought recently? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of my bookish content. It has been great chatting with you. I will see you soon. Bye.